What's going on, guys? We got another week of Dana White's Contender Series for Season 9. You guys know the deal. We're going to break down every single fight. I'm going to give you my picks, my predictions, and tell you guys everything you need to know for all these fights. It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, so without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, we got Donte Johnson versus Darion Abbey. Now, this is an interesting fight because it's one of those matchups where, yes, I'm picking one person, and it has to do, yes, with their skill, and I think they should win, but on the other side, it's also because I'm sort of fading who they're fighting. So, and this one, the pick has got to be Donte Johnson. Now, there's multiple reasons for this, and we'll get into it. But first off, Donte Johnson, at 26 years old, he's had the much more promising upside for him. Now, he's fought at light heavyweight and heavyweight. This fight is going to be at heavyweight, which is a very interesting fact because it doesn't necessarily help Donte Johnson in this. If anything, it hurts him because he is the natural light heavyweight. That's where he should be at. And in this fight, he's going against Darion Abbey, who is a natural heavyweight at 6'6". He's a big dude. He's going to use the size to his advantage. So there is a bit of hesitation just because of it's almost like a mismatch in the weight. You know, Donte Johnson should be at a light heavyweight. So the fact that he's taking this fight at heavyweight on a relatively short notice, he's definitely not going to be maxing out 265. You know, I don't know where exactly he'll weigh in at, but I would have to imagine it's going to be somewhere around 220, maybe somewhere within that range, just because he's a lean guy. As you can see, the picture I have of him on the left here, that is from his last fight when he was at 205 for light heavyweight. So he is really lean and shredded and muscular, athletic for 205, but just bringing him up to heavyweight is going to be interesting. But we'll break down his recent fights. Now, some of his fights, yes, they're not the highest level of competition, but the one fight that did stand out to me that was impressive was against James Ford. Now, James Ford was an undefeated prospect who had some hype building up on him, and Donte, he was actually the underdog in this fight. So to go and see him beat the undefeated prospect as an underdog and put him out cold, it was very impressive because it was his first real decent level of competition win. Because if you look at some of his earlier fights in his career, as you can see, like Jordan, he has 3-11. This Deontay Butts, it was 0-2. Gabriel Sag was 1-2. Ryan Parker, that win is decent. You know, Ryan Parker is an all right competition. He's fought guys on the Contender Series before. He's been mentioned before in this season. So it's not like he's a bad fighter. I just think he's nothing that great or that special to make it like a very impressive win, you know? So you can't knock Donte Johnson for these because at the same time, he is undefeated in his pro career. But the interesting thing is if you look at Donte Johnson, he does have one loss when he was an amateur. This was against Deontay Moses Jr. But the thing is that this fight was at heavyweight. Now, if you go and watch this fight, I mean, it's very short, but if you go and watch this fight, Donte Johnson, he looks like a completely different fighter. I mean, at heavyweight in this fight, he was more like a cannonball. He was a bit fat. He was a bit tubby, not as explosive. He was a little bit slower, and he gets knocked out. But it was a head kick, I believe. Yeah, head kick and hammer fist. Yeah, he got knocked out. It was not a good look, but it's like a completely night and day different fighter. If you look at a picture of him at that fight versus him on the left here, I mean, it is not even remotely close because Donte Johnson should be at light heavyweight. This is where he belongs to be fighting. So the fact that he's taking this fight at heavyweight is a bit worrisome for me. You know, I think it's not going to be a terrible matchup because he's so strong and explosive that although he's not going to weigh as much as Darion Abbey, that lighter style, I mean, of fighting with more, he's going to have more speed, you know, the lighter weight. It'll be more explosive. It'll be more quick on the feet. It probably will help him, especially because we know Darion Abbey is a bit chinny. So even if he doesn't have as much size in terms of the actual pounds as Darion Abbey, it could work to his advantage, ultimately, being a little bit faster with less weight. So I'm not going to say I'm super worried about them fighting at heavyweight. It is just a concern or a point that should be noted, you know, because if we look at Donte, if you look at his record, you know, he's gone back and forth. Now, these fights were in heavyweight, as you can see, when he had the knockout all the way up until, was it Jordan still? No, that was heavyweight. This is when he got to light heavyweight. Yeah, when he fought Ryan Parker, this is when he got back to light heavyweight. And this last fight against James Ford was light heavyweight as well. So he has bounced around, and at least we've seen him succeed at both weight classes. So I'm not as worried. It's just the level of competition was worse with those heavyweight earlier fights in his career. So I wanted to point that out there because I still do think that Donte Johnson should win this fight. But at the same time, that is a little asterisk next to this that I think we should point out. Now, in terms of Darion Abbey, I'm not very high on Darion Abbey. I don't think he's very good. I think he's pretty chinny, and I just don't think he's a UFC level caliber of a fighter, you know? Whereas Donte Johnson, I don't even necessarily know. I can't say that he's fully ready for the UFC right now. I think at only 26 years old, he's so fresh to professional MMA. I think he should take maybe another 2 years to develop on the regional scene and then come back. This seems a little bit early for him. But at the same time, if he wins here, he's going to get a contract and he's going to get pushed right into the UFC. You can only imagine, because if he wins here, it's probably going to be a round 1 starch knockout, you have to assume. So it's a bit interesting because I don't want to see this guy rush, because Donte Johnson has this natural athleticism, explosive power, just raw, just energy. He's like a ball of just like power, you know. So a talent like that, if he just develops his technical skills a little bit more, he should be very good. He kind of transitioned from playing football in college, so now he's moving to MMA. So he's been an athlete his entire life, which you like to see. And I just don't think Darion Abbey really has anything that he's not going to be able to handle, you know. As we can see, if we go and look at Darion Abbey, his professional career, you can see his wins just aren't anything great. Now, the fight that really stood out to me was the Patrick Martin fight. This fight was abysmal. Now, the thing with Patrick Martin, when they fought, he was 41 years old. And that's not even the worst part. So yes, and because you look at this fight, you say, oh, Darion Abbey, he won this fight. So you're like, oh, why are you hating on him? He won the fight. Now, it was a 3rd round submission, yes. But if we go down, you guys can see, we'll scroll, get to it. Now, Darion Abbey, hey, this was in 2025. This was off a 6-year layoff. A 41-year-old Patrick Martin came up off the couch after 6 years of being retired and fought Darion Abbey, and they went in a back-and-forth competitive fight that got to the 3rd round. I think Donte Johnson would have put this dude out cold. So the fact that it went that far on, and it was so competitive too. I mean, yes, Darion Abbey obviously won, but like the fact that it went that long, and Patrick was having success on the feet too. So it just eliminates any type of confidence I could have in Darion Abbey to go beat a guy like Donte Johnson, who's just going to run through it, just kind of charge right at him like a crash out. You know, like Donte Johnson, he wants to walk you down. He will land bombs. Yes, he's not the most technical, but at the same time, if he hits on a guy like Darion Abbey's probably going to go night-night. As we can see, he's been knocked out 3 times in his professional career, so it's not like his chin is untouchable. Whereas, yes, we've seen Donte Johnson knocked out before in his amateur career, but not in the professional level. He's looked a lot better. So the pick has to be for Donte Johnson this week. The line is a tad bit wide, as we talked about. You know, like Donte Johnson, he's so fresh, he's so green. I don't want to see him rushed in the UFC and just get completely blown aside or like have his career spiraled off. You know, I think he could be a decent talent, especially at heavyweight. You know, it's not like there's a million superstars at heavyweight division. But I mean, even if he wins this fight, he definitely would drop down to light heavyweight where it's a little bit more competitive. I don't know. I don't think either of these guys are necessarily ready for the UFC. Whereas Donte Johnson, I don't think he's necessarily ready just yet, but he could be. He definitely could be. Whereas Darion Abbey, at 32 years old, I don't know if he ever will be. So you got to pick Donte Johnson. This one, the line's a little bit wide, but at the same time, I get why it's that wide. I think Donte Johnson probably gets a finish here in round 1 or round 2 maybe. If I had to guess, I'd say round 1 knockout. So anyway, next up, we got Cristian Perez versus Manoel Sousa. Now, this is an interesting one because similar to last week, we got another Combat Global fighter in Cristian Perez, and he like the same thing as I'm blanking on Jimenez from last week. He has a long layoff too. So all right, I guess we'll break down Cristian Perez first. Let's go over to him. Now, with Cristian Perez, he hasn't had a real MMA fight since 2023. Yes, December of 2023. But the same thing, it's like this Combat Global, this fight league, it's not the highest level. So yes, he's looked really good, but it's like hard to put a ton of weight behind it. Because we know that Cristian Perez, he started his career off more as a grappler. That was more of his skill set base. You know, he was very good with the submissions. And he's kind of started to develop his striking later on as he's progressed, as I've seen from his fights. Now, if you look through his tape, oh yeah, we got this pulled up. Now, some of these earlier wins, it's like the competition's not anything amazing. And that's one of the main reasons why I am leaning against Cristian Perez this week is because, yes, he's looked good, but at the same time, the level of competition is not great. Yes, he worked Samuel Alvarez. This fight was decently, I don't want to say it was competitive because he was working Samuel Alvarez. Yes, Samuel Alvarez, he had a couple of moments late in the 3rd round, but he really was just a step behind in the striking. He was getting his legs beaten up. Cristian had really good leg kicks throughout that fight. So it was a good win, but the level of competition, it's like 7-5, nothing great. Bruno Canetti, he just does this absolute, like, He does this crazy rolling dive and goes straight for a leg lock immediately in the fight. Absolutely crazy crash out moment. It was pretty funny. But the same, Bruno Canetti is just not anything good. Yes, he knocks him out in the first round very quickly. But it's just like, it's hard to put a ton of weight behind these wins because it's like, yes, he looks good, but it's just like these guys have never really done anything on. Same with this Sebastian Pedriata, dude. If you go look at him, it's like, look at his career. It's like you pull it up, win-loss. He's been win-loss since 2018. So it's like the level of caliber fighter that Cristian Perez is fighting. Yes, he's still looking good against, but it's nowhere near what Manuel Sousa is fighting. So it's just, for these contender series fights, you got to look at the level of competition as some sort of main basis for this. Because it's like, other than that, yeah, Cristian Perez has been styling on these guys at lower levels, but how would he compete against a guy like Manuel Sousa? We don't really know. He hasn't fought that wide of a diverse range of fighters, where if we look at Manuel Sousa's recent fights, the level of competition is just day and night better. What I like about Manuel Sousa, too, is that if you look through his fights, he's fought at LFA, he's fought at Bellator, he's fought at PFL, he's fought at CFFC. It's like he's fought at all these different promotions. Well, I guess CFFC is not as good as like a PFL, Bellator, LFA, but at the same time, he's fought at some of the best feeder promotions, you know what I mean? Like the LFA, and I guess not even PFL, it's not a feeder, I guess, but, same with Bellator, but at the same time, it's like those are the higher level promotions besides the UFC that's the type of stuff you like to see guys fighting at, And with his fights, too, you can see the one loss that he had was against Archie Colgan. This fight was very, very close. It was one of those fights where I was watching it back, and I just thought to myself, I was like, damn, if this fight was in the UFC APEX in Vegas, it would have probably gone the other way. I could have seen it going the other way because he was having success. Sousa was having success on the feet, and he was winning exchanges on the feet. He was striking. He was looking a lot better on the feet. It was just towards the end of the round, Colgan would just land a takedown, and then it seemed like, that would secure the round. It was like the first round, he won striking on the feet, and Colgan landed a takedown, but it was like towards the very, very end. Same with the second round, kind of the similar thing, but Colgan started to get a little bit more wrestling success earlier on in the round, and same with the third round. It was just, he was dominating in the wrestling, but it was just like very close to where like Colgan, when he was getting him down, he wasn't landing hardly any damage. So it was like, if it was some Apex card and they're judging damage just purely, I could have seen Sousa getting the nod there. So it was that close with the undefeated prospect, and Colgan too, who's pretty damn good. I don't know, what's he at now in terms of his record? He's still undefeated, 12-0. Yeah, okay, so he hasn't, 2 fights since then. Or I guess 1 fight since their fight. But see, that's a very good win. That looks good. The Tim Wild win, yes, it looks a little bit worse in recent years after this, but it was still a good win at the time. 2024 was only a year ago, because I know he was 17-4 then. Where is he? 17-7 now. So yeah, not as good now, but I mean, it was still, at that time, it was a lot better. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, the Paulo Lila. I had this in my notes. There was one fight. There was one fight that really stood out to me. The Paulo Lila fight. Now, because Manuel Sousa, he just likes to go, as we can see too, I'll pull you guys back over. You can see from his record, Manuel Sousa is looking to knock dudes' heads off. He's 7-0 to the knockout in his 12-1 total record. The dude is there to stand and bank. He likes to hit people, and he likes to hit them hard. So the thing is, though, it's like, all right, you want to worry about this guy's ground game. You're like, all right, I want to see him on the ground. How does this man look if he's going against a guy like a Cristian Perez, who has some pretty tricky submissions? Saw that in Manoel he landed in this fight, in one of his fights at a Comeback to Global. You're like, all right, how does Manuel Sousa look on the ground? You got to watch this fight against what's his name, Paulo Lila. This was entertaining grappling. I don't say what you want about the DDP and Khamzat fight. I thought that was boring as hell. If you got to watch this fight. Watch Paulo Lila versus Manuel Sousa. Very entertaining grappling match. They were going for all types of stuff. When they were on the ground, they were going for ground and pound, but they were also going for crazy submissions. I took a list of all the submissions that I saw in this fight, because it just kind of blew my mind, all the attempts they had. So literally, Sousa, in this one fight, he was going for arm bars, leg locks, knee bars, arm triangles from bottom, kimuras, and there were more. It was insane, the amount of different submissions Manuel Sousa was going for. Yes, he couldn't get any of them locked up, but he looked damn good in that fight. He got close on a couple of them. It just goes to show that Paya had good just grappling in himself. So I'm not worried in the sense of, yes, Cristian Perez is pretty dangerous with the submissions. As you can see from his record, he's 6-0 to the submission. But after seeing that fight from Manuel Sousa, I'm like, all right, bro is comfortable on the ground. I'm not seeing him getting wrapped up in some tricky submission by Cristian Perez, so I think this is likely going to probably stand on the feet, and Manoel Sousa he's going to be probably the better striker here. The last thing I'll say about this, obviously, if you can't tell, my pick is Manoel Sousa this week. I am decently confident in him just because we haven't seen Cristian Perez in so damn long either. It's like, how can you trust his older fights when you haven't seen him fight in a year plus, So the last thing we have seen from him, the last thing I'll say about this fight is, bring you guys over. Now, Cristian Perez, no one's talking about this either. No one's talking about this, but I thought it was interesting. I went and I watched this karate match because that's the most recent thing he's had in 2 years. His last MMA fight was December of 2023. His most recent fight was this karate fight in July of 2024. I went and watched this karate fight. Now, because people say, oh, well, it's not like MMA. It's a totally different sport. Yes, but you're still striking. This combat, what is it? Yeah, karate combat. It's still full contact karate. It's still a striking match. Yes, there's not a ton of like grappling and stuff, but I mean, it goes to show a level of striking if you can compete in karate or not. So I watched this fight. Cristian Perez looked awful. It was just absolutely atrocious. And the thing is, it's not like he looked necessarily so bad. It's just the dude he was fighting. I looked at this John Marquez guy. He's 2-3 in professional MMA. And yes, I know it's different. It's not the same thing. But it's not like this John Marquez guy is anything great. And he looked like an amateur against this John Marquez dude. And it was predominantly like just kickboxing on the feet. I mean, that's primarily all it was. It wasn't like there was a whole lot of weird other shit going on. And so I was like, that was a decent sign to me of like, all right, how good is Cristian Perez striking? Because they would clinch up a couple times, but for mostly it was John Marquez. He was landing these like flashy, like spinning, all this random shit. It was hilarious to see. But it was like Cristian Perez, he didn't really even have a solution to it. And it was the thing too with the fight against John Marquez in the karate match was that John Marquez was death gas. So I forget if it was either 3 or 4 rounds, but in the karate match, they had to go into this like sudden death overtime, one match to decide it all because it was tied. Oh yeah, okay, wait. 4 rounds. So they did 3 full rounds, and they were 3-minute rounds too. So it's a hell of a lot shorter. And this John Marquez dude is completely death gassed. He has nothing left after like the second round. Somehow it's tied, or they need a sudden death match after the third, and somehow John Marquez completely death gassed pulls it out over Cristian Perez. It's the weirdest shit. I'm like, that's the last thing I have to go off of. A year ago was that dog shit karate performance. Whereas Manoel Sousa has been fighting killers. He just took on an undefeated PFL prospect who's still undefeated now. I'm like, in terms of how both of these guys are looking in recent years, I haven't seen anything from Cristian Perez to signal to me that he's going to be better than a Manoel Sousa who's much more proven against much better competition. So the pick has to be Manoel Sousa this week. Fairly confident in him. Now, obviously, these global combat guys, they go MIA as we saw last week. So maybe Cristian Perez looks better than he has in recent years. Maybe he's gotten a lot better since then. There is that, like, you don't know. Like, I haven't been able to find anything else about him in recent years. So there is always that woulda, coulda, shoulda, or who knows, like behind the scenes, like maybe he's gotten a lot better. But from what I've seen from the tape that I've been able to watch, the pick has to be Manoel Sousa from everything we've seen. So there's not a whole lot more I got from this one. Now, next up, we got Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev versus Alik Lorenz. This one's going to be probably even shorter of a breakdown, honestly. Now, let's get it over. Now, Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev, this dude is a beast. This dude's probably ready to go in the UFC right now. They could sign him. They could have just signed him, throw him on a card, and had him probably put on a banger. This dude is a Chechnyan savage. He's going in there to mess dudes up. Now, we'll pull you guys over to his fight against Paulin Bagai. He actually fought the dude on the Contender Series this season, week 1, the French dude. I'm forgetting his name. What was his name? Ilyan Bouafia. So Ilyan Bouafia took him to a decision where our boy Abdul messed him up with guillotine in 1 minute and 30 seconds. This fight was so bad too. He messed Bagai up, and Bagai, he was literally crying afterwards. He was so upset because he got just smoked that fast. And that's pretty much all, or the majority of Abdul's fights. He's doing the same thing. He'll strike, he'll entertain the striking, but he's going to hold you against the cage. He's looking to take you down, and he's looking to get to your back, or he's going for a submission. Like, he is taking it to the ground, and if he gets to the ground and he gets you there and you're in a bad position, you're probably cooked. Now, the thing about him too is that he's so dangerous everywhere that against a guy like Alik Lorenz, I just don't know how he's going to survive. Now, I know this line is so damn wide. It is so wide in a Dana White Contender Series. It's like, oh, God. Do you really want to play a minus 1,000? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I just don't see anywhere for Alik Lorenz to win this fight. Is he going to just keep it on the feet for all 3 rounds and win a decision? Because, I mean, he's not going to win on the ground. So his only way to win this is probably getting a fluke knockout win early on. But it's like we've never seen him knocked out before. You know, it's like even when he lost. Oh, I'll take you guys back over. Even when Abdul lost, it was a decision. It was an amateur bout too. What I do like about Abdul too is that the level of competition is actually pretty decent. You know, he fought this Nikolai Kovakenyo dude who was undefeated. He's not undefeated anymore, but he has a good record in Russia. You know, 11-2 right now, as you can see. So I mean, he has a decent record. You know, I mean, he's fought a lot of guys. Pretty decent level of competition. I mean, 4-1, 4-0, 7-3, 13-4, 3-0. Not the best, but not the worst, you know? So it's a bit better. Whereas if you look at Alik Lorenz, you guys got this? Yep. These fights are just nowhere near the same level. Oh, I got a funny picture for this one, too. So we saw from Abdul, at least his level of competition is decent. Now, you look at Alik Lorenz's wins. I'm going to pull this up. Oh, pull you guys back over. This is one of his most recent fighters he went against. I'm probably getting in the way. You can see it though. I mean, this is the boy Ben Parrish, who Tom Aspinall is probably ducking this dude. I'm just kidding. But this dude, the level of competition is just nowhere near the same. So we can pull you guys back over. This was Ben Parrish, who he fought in 2024 in LFA. Now, how this dude got in the LFA? Lord knows. 6-4. Oh, goodness. So the level of competition is not exactly the best. You can see, too, this Thomas Powell guy pulled him up. This was a weird one. Now, he got the win here over this Thomas Powell dude, which he's been MIA since. This dude, if you go look at him, this Thomas Powell dude, he's a tank from Liberia. This dude is like a physical specimen. But he gets in this fight. Yes, it's a round 1 knockout. But in this fight, Lorenz, he lands some, like, he eye pokes this dude, and his eye was messed up. It was compromised for the rest of the fight. And he also nut taps him. He hits him with a nut shot in the first round, too, in the first couple of minutes. So this dude is pretty compromised, mainly from the eye pokes. But he gets hit again later on in the eye, and it was just like he kind of just crumpled after that. So his eye was severely compromised. So it takes a little bit away from that win, too. So I'm like, you commit 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes against the dude. You hit him in the eye again, and then he crumbles. It's hard to put a ton behind that win. And it's like you beat Ben Parrish. You beat the Discord mod. I mean, it's like, I don't know. And then even the Ryan Parker one, it's like, what is this? This is the dude, like we talked about too. This guy is fighting pretty much everyone on this damn Contender Series season. Alik Lorenz, we got Donte Johnson. He fought one more person, I thought too. Andre Petrovsky, interesting. Josh Fram. I mean, he's fought a bunch of dudes at the UFC level, and he's losing to him. But I thought there was another one too. No, maybe not. For some reason, I thought there was, but yeah, he's fought 2 guys on this week at least. So it's just like the wins. Yes, there's wins, but at the same time, there's like always an asterisk near each of them. When it's like you don't really love that when you're trying to have confidence in the guy to win his UFC or his Dana White Contender Series debut. At least with Abdul, you're like, all right, he's fought decent level of competition. He's winning them. He's smoking them. The one guy he beat to a decision was the Nikolai Kovakenko, if I'm saying that right, who is undefeated at the time. So it's like you got to put a lot more respect on Abdul's wins and his level of competition. So for that reason, I mean, you got to pick Abdul Yakhyaev here. You got to pick him to win. If you're picking Alik Lorenz, you're probably insane, or just picking the huge dog. This line is just wide enough to where like it's borderline unplayable. But at the same time, I'm still considering playing it just because I don't have any confidence in Lorenz at all. I mean, I feel like his only way to win is going to be like a fluke knockout early on. Again, I think, too, with this fight, if I remember correctly, wasn't this a 5-rounder? Yeah, so when he did go to the decision for the first time in his career, it was or I guess he had one in the amateurs, but in his first professional career, it was a 5-round fight. So I'm like, all right, I can't worry about the dude's cardio that much here. I'm like, if he's gone 5 rounds before against decent level competition, he's going to be light years ahead in terms of the ground against a guy like Alik Lorenz, who just hasn't looked great. I don't know. Did we talk about this too? When he did get knocked out, it was against Darion Abbey, who I'm not very high in either, who's fighting earlier on this card. So I'm like, the level of competition is so poor. And when he fights someone who is still not a great high-level fighter. He's getting smoked, so, I mean, that just cannot give me any confidence here in him at all. The pick's got to be Abdul-Rakhman. Yakhyaev, if I'm saying that right, the dude's explosive. If you got to watch his fights. You go see him. The second he gets guys to the ground, he just gets to work. And I think he's going to do the same thing to Alik Lorenz here. It's got to be most likely inside the distance. I would assume a submission. Could be a ground and pound knockout, but I'd say more than likely it might be a submission. It could go either way, though. I think that the odds are a bit wide, but at the same time, I can't say they're super wide. I mean, 10-1. I mean, that's absolutely insane. I don't know what it should be. I personally, what did I have in my notes? When I go and look at I put my guess for the odds before these fights, before I see them, because it takes a while for them to release. What the hell did I have? Yeah, I put him at a -500. So the fact that they put him at -1,000 is pretty damn wide, but at the same time, I kind of get it. But that does it for this one. Next up, we got Damon Wilson versus Marcio Barbosa. Everyone's on Marcio Barbosa this week, and I get it. And I'll say it up front, I am too. I'm picking Marcio Barbosa, but there is a little bit of an asterisk here. So we'll start with Marcio Barbosa first. Now, the dude is a demon. The dude is very good. Obviously, as you can see, 16-2. The dude is very skilled, and his losses are against high-level competition, or at least one of them is. So we'll switch over here. Now, we'll go over Marcio Barbosa first. The little asterisk I have by Marcio Barbosa is he almost kind of seems like what some people said about, like some people talked about Charles Oliveira. They're like, yeah, like earlier in his career, he wasn't able to last as long. Maybe he didn't have as much toughness and durability, but then later on he started to kind of transform into a new fighter, and he kind of just got that dog in him. Some people said it was like a kid, or I don't know, whatever it is. Some people were saying that he kind of had a resurgence in his career almost. It kind of feels the same with Marcio Barbosa in the sense of, if you look at his earlier losses, he has 2 losses. They're both by knockout. We'll talk about the first one was against Luis Felipe. Now, if you go and watch this fight, it's a pretty, I don't want to, not rough, but it's just not a crazy promotion. The camera footage isn't great, but at the same time, you can still see exactly what's going on. Now, in this fight, it looks like he's just getting out-dogged, because the Luis Felipe dude, he's not that good. He's not that technical. You can just tell when they're fighting. Luis, he just has that scrappy dog. It seemed like he wanted it more. In his second, Marcio Barbosa, he wasn't having success in the first round. He almost got saved. I forget what fight it was. I put it down in my notes. It was one of these 2 fights that he was, what was it? Yeah, okay. It was this one. He was getting saved by the bell almost, because he was he was getting ground and pounded pretty much, and he got saved by the bell, and you could kind of see this defeated look in him, and it just really was that horrible body language. And in the second round, because how fast was it? 2 minutes and 46 seconds. It was basically the same thing. He got him to almost the same position, started grounding and pounding him. It was just you could see he was mentally broken and defeated in that fight. And that's the only time he's lost is like that. And it was the same exact thing to Gabriel Santos. Now, you could say it's just cardio, and I get that, but at the same time, it kind of seemed a little bit more than just cardio, because in that fight he didn't seem death gassed. He seemed a lot more tired in his loss against Gabriel Santos, so I do get what people are saying, but it seemed like Gabriel Santos just kind of, it's the same thing. It kind of just broke him early on. Now, because in this fight against Gabriel Santos, he was having a ton of success. And the thing about this fight that's interesting, you got to go rewatch it. If this was a different promotion someplace else with different refs and a different ref and different judges, or I guess judges wouldn't matter, but a different ref and a different promotion somewhere else, it could have easily gone a different way. This fight could have easily been stopped. He could have gotten a knockout win over Gabriel Santos, and their careers could have been on different trajectories right now. So he had him that hurt and that weak. It was just Gabriel Santos was just able to just find a way to survive. It was just it was kind of 2 things. One, when Marcio Barbosa got Gabriel Santos to the ground, he hurt him, and he was starting to land on him. He just didn't you could tell he was starting to slow down with the ground and pound, and his ground and pound was just not very vicious. It was very slow and just very not a whole lot of pop behind the punches. It seemed like I was watching, I was like, oh my goodness, he needs to put more into these punches. He needs to get him out of there. But I don't know if it was a cardio thing because it was so early on into the fight. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, maybe he gassed himself out. He's so used to finishing guys so fast. I'm like, maybe he was a little bit tired, but he let Gabriel Santos back into that fight. It was kind of a bit of like, yeah, the ref was really letting him have any chance he needed to get back into the fight. But on the other hand, it was like, yeah, like he kind of let him get back up. And by the time the round was over, Gabriel Santos had like reversed the position and he was kind of taking the driver's seat in that fight. And by the time it got to the bell or the first round was over, he kind of had this like resurgence, Gabriel Santos did, of like, oh shit, like I'm back. I can win this fight. And Marcio Barbosa had the same thing of like this, as this Luis Felipe loss. It was like a defeated, like, bad body language. Yes, it could be cardio, but it seemed a little bit more than that. Whereas, like, he kind of knew he was kind of screwed going into the second. Like, he just had this look of like, not feeling very confident. Now, that being said, that is the little asterisk here. That's a little asterisk of, I'm worried if this fight extends. I'm worried if it goes later. Because we know Damon Wilson, he could be dangerous later on, especially if Marcio Barbosa can't get him out of there early. He might start to crack. He might start to wither a tad bit. But I know I'll keep going back and forth here. But the thing I will say about Marcio Barbosa is, like, as I kind of mentioned Charles Oliveira earlier, is like, ever since that Gabriel Santos loss, it was 2022, his last 3 fights has been like a, kind of like a, flip switch. Like, he seems like a different fighter. He seems a lot more ruthless, a lot more aggressive, a lot more just like Terminator mode. Like, I don't know. Yes, he was still finishing people earlier in his career before, but it just seems like he almost has like a mentality switch. He seems like he's really starting to get more like muscular and bigger and stronger and faster. And like, he just seems like in a video game where you like level up your stats. Like, that's how his 3 most recent fights since that knockout loss were. Like, that's how he seems. He seems like a different dude. So I really like that. I like to see that. And obviously, yes, he's been finishing dudes very early like he always has. But it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, you watch all these fights, it's like, the dude seems like, yes, years have gone by too, from 2021 with the Luis Felipe, that first knockout loss, all the way up to his most recent fight in November of 2024. Yes, he's only 27 years old too, so it's like, yes, the dude is going to grow, develop as a person and an athlete, but I was going to say that's just a good look for me of like, okay, this dude seems like he's kind of flipping the switch, kind of like Charles Oliveira, he's kind of like turning on that beast mode. So I like to see that from him. It kind of makes me more confident in him, honestly, too. But I don't want to completely underestimate Damon Wilson. Like, he's still a decent level fighter. As we can see from his tape, like, the level of competition is decent. Oh, switch you guys back over. It's not terrible. It's not the best. Like, the Tobias Harria, this knockout was kind of interesting. He was looking good early on, and they're getting the clinch. And Tobias, dude, he just hits him with his front elbow, just right in the dome, cracks him. I'm like, it's not a terrible loss. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's all these damn Cage Warriors dudes. I'm like, we've seen them not look the best in the UFC as they translate over. I don't know. I don't want to put too bad of a emphasis on these. This Ryan Lilly fight, this dude seemed pretty soft though, I'm not gonna lie. Leonardo Camargo, oh yeah, this is when he had this little back and forth 2-piece knee knockout run in Cage Warriors, which is pretty impressive, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't put a whole lot behind it. Damon Wilson, ever since I watched his tape, he just seems like he's pretty quick, he's pretty nimble, like he's quick on the feet, he has good striking, but he can be caught. It's like when he gets hit, he gets put out. It's like the elbow that rocked him in this Tobias Harria fight. Yeah, it was a strong elbow, but it wasn't the most damaging, insanely powerful, like spinning back fist. Like, it wasn't anything like crazy or like a wheel kick or something that really like puts your lights out. It was more like a pretty close distance within the clinch, elbow straight to the face. Obviously, I don't want to get hit with one of that, so I'm not calling him soft for getting knocked out by that, obviously. But at the same time, I'm like, don't love to see that, especially when he's going to fight a guy like Marcio Barbosa, who seems to have a death touch. When he hits dudes, they go out. So in terms of the raw power and the skill and abilities, I got to say Marcio Barbosa is a step ahead here. I am a bit worried for Damon Wilson here. But I would put the little asterisk, like I said, about if this goes later. We haven't seen Marcio Barbosa do very well in the later fights. Because I had this in my notes somewhere too. It was where I was looking through all these guys' fights, or all of Marcio Barbosa's fights, and the fights that have gone out of the second round, his record was horrible. He lost a decision to John De Jesus. He won one decision. Or wait, no, sorry, this is Damon. Marcio Barbosa, what was it? No, he lost. I was gonna say I don't remember him going to a decision. I think he did one. Okay, he won one decision. He won a split decision over Ronaldo Jr. back in 2021. And then besides that, I guess you guys can't see this. I was like, okay, so what was this? Round 1, 2. You got knocked out Gabriel Santos. Round 1. Got knocked out by Luis Felipe. So that's 0-2. And he won one split decision over Ronaldo Jr. So 1-2 for fights that go over the second, or that start the second or go longer. I'd be a bit worried, just because Damon Wilson, he is, he can go late. Yes, he had these knees, but it's like decision. And I feel like he went further. Yeah, it was one of these. Yeah, round 2 is like, it's not like he's afraid to go a bit longer. So the cardio's got to lean to Damon Wilson here. But at the same time, cardio is just one factor of the overall package. And I just think Marcio Barbosa has the higher potential as a fighter in general, I think you could throw him in the UFC right now and he'd be totally fine. And Damon Wilson, maybe you could, I think he could probably hang at the lower level competition in the UFC, possibly. But it's more like would he? Whereas with Marcio Barbosa, I think, yeah, he could probably hang right now. You could throw him in. He could probably be able to do pretty damn well, especially if he gets his cardio fixed, which I imagine he would. So, yeah, I'm kind of yapping about this one, but I do think Marcio Barbosa wins. Decently confident in him, but the only asterisk I would have, like I said, was just if this goes later, could be a bit sketchy, but I don't think it goes later. I see Marcio Barbosa probably putting him out inside 2 rounds. So, anyway, next up, we got Trent Miller versus Ryan Gandra. I had to put this picture I found of Ryan Gandra with Charles Oliveira. I had to include that one. This is a pretty easy breakdown for me, honestly. I don't think either of these guys are anything great, but I don't think Trent Miller is a good fighter. Or not to be disrespectful, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't think he has a lot of high potential. I don't see him ever fighting in the UFC. Even if he were to get a contract over a fluke knockout win in this fight, I don't think it would end very well. It would have to be against very low level competition to see some success here. He doesn't have any aspect of his game where he's super highly skilled. It's like, yes, you look at his record, you're like, okay, 8-2, 6-0 to the knockout. But it's like, his striking isn't even that good. He's very flat-footed. He's stationary. He has no movement. He just kind of plunges forward to you. And it's like, you look at his fights and it's like, they don't really give you a ton of confidence. They don't really showcase anything that's impressive. I'll talk about the 2 fights that stood out to me about him. Try to pull you guys up. Now, the 2 fights that stood out to me, one was this Buddy Wallace fight where he gets face crank in round 2. He starts to have some success early on in the striking, but you can just see with Buddy Wallace, he starts to take over about halfway through, or even before then, like maybe like 2 minutes in. Trent Miller was having success early on. Buddy Wallace, you could literally see him like adjusting, of like getting his reads and starting to adjust. And Trent Miller just has no adaptability. He has no way to react or change things up himself. It's just nothing changes. It's just, he starts getting worked, and it just like, he goes from looking good and then it starts looking bad. And then by the time he gets to the second round, it's too little, too late. And Buddy Wallace takes him to the ground, gets to his back, and at that point, it's pretty much over. It's like, anytime this guy gets to the ground, it's not a good look. Yes, he has 1 submission win on his total record, but he's been subbed twice out of his 2 losses. So, yes, Ryan Gandra, he's the guy who wants to strike. I kind of think of him like a Timu brand, Alex Pereira almost. He wants to stand and bang, but his striking is just, it's not great, but I think it'll be better than Trent Miller. I don't know why this fight, of all the fights, is the main fight, like the last fight of the night. I don't know why. This seems like it should have been the first fight of the night. Who am I to say? But I just don't really have a whole lot of positive things to say about Trent Miller, other than he's jacked. He has great physique. You guys can see, bro is jacked. He should be a bodybuilder. That's what he's calling for. I mean, physique, 10 out of 10. Awesome physique, brother. But in terms of the raw fighting skills and MMA abilities, not the best. This Dylan O'Sullivan fight was abysmal. This was a painful watch. He got a split decision somehow. I don't even know how you could score that. It was such a dumpster fire of just like back and it was. Don't watch it. I get people if you want to do tape study, do your own tape study. But I'm telling you right now, just don't even watch this. Just think low level striking. And yeah, you're not missing anything by not watching this one. But so it's like nothing I've seen from Trent Miller. I know I'm like not trying to bash on bro, because he's still taking this like a G. But I don't know. It's just not very. I can't see a world. I'm not going to say I can't see a world of him winning. He could get the fluke knockout win. I'm not very confident in this. And this line is pretty damn wide because I don't think either guy's all that good. So as you can see, for him being a plus 320 dog, if there's any upset on this card, I'd say it probably is him. If I were to guess. But I still think I think he probably gets finished here. I mean, he's never been knocked out. He could get submitted. Yes, Gandra, he does have 2 submission wins, but he does like to strike. You know, his record might seem like he likes to grapple a little bit more, but the dude likes to stand and bang. You know, recent fights, he likes to stand. He likes to knock dudes out. But I mean, in terms of the tape, though, I mean, that's all that really is standing out to me here. He got arm triangle choked here. You talked about the face crank. Got a couple early knockout wins. He did get a guillotine choke here, but there's just not a whole lot that stood out to me. With Ryan Gandra, I mean, he's knocking dudes out. I was trying to think if any of these fights really stood out to me. Not really. I mean, even what were my notes on it? I'm trying to think of like, and I was like, I literally ran through these fights today too. I'm like, none of them are really standing out to me. His striking looks decent. He's probably going to be better on the ground than Trent Miller because Trent Miller just doesn't seem to have any great ground abilities in terms of the wrestling or the grappling. This is the fight I do have the least to say about just because I'm like, I don't want to overthink this because I don't think either of these guys are all that great. So it's like, I can't really say there's some big lean that's pushing me one way or the other here. Like from both of these guys, I'm like, none of their wins are great. But I guess if you were to say one thing, you could say at least with Ryan Gandra, it's like you look at his level of competition. Vladimir Calva's 4-0. Alessandro Gambulino is 13-4. So I'm like, it's a little bit better. Trent Miller is just, that 5-1, I guess you could look at. But the other competition is not great. The guys he's beating, he beat a 1-0. You guys see this? 2-1, 0-5, 1-2. Beat a 7-9 guy. This dude is massive, though. If you look at him, he's a pretty big dude in there. And what's his name? Trent Miller is pretty jacked, too. So to see these guys fight each other was pretty funny. It looked like 2 bodybuilders, almost. But yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one as a whole. You got to lead Ryan Gandra here because he seems to be the more dangerous fighter. He was training. This was a recent picture he took with Charles Oliveira. I assume he was out there training with the Shooter Box guys because I looked at his profile and it didn't say he was at Shooter Box. He said it was, what was he at? Flavio Bianco team. So I don't know if he was going to Shooter Box for just a little temporary training or if he did a camp there. I don't really know. But like I said, I don't want to rant about this one. This video is already getting long. It's just I don't have a ton to say about this one. The pick's got to be Ryan Gandra, but as a whole, not super confident. You know, I guess to go over, because I know we've been talking for a minute here. If I had to recap, if I had to give a little confidence rating for these guys, I'd say I know the odds are cooked, but Yakhyaev probably is the most confident. I really like Sousa. I think he's a beast. I think he's super well-rounded. I think he's going to be all around better than Cristian Perez. Although I do think Cristian Perez is good. You know, I think if he was fighting anyone else, he'd have a better chance. And it's kind of a shame, too, because I think both of these guys could hang in the UFC as they are. Cristian Perez just looked pretty awful in that recent karate match with the striking. Just looked very dull. So like Manuel Sousa, he's powerful. He's good enough everywhere. We've seen his grappling. We've seen his striking. He was able to hang with the wrestler. Yes, he lost to the undefeated wrestler prospect Colgan, but he was still able to hang there. We've seen so much from Manuel Sousa. We've seen all of his skill sets be tested, so he's got to be a confident pick here. Darion Abbey is just, his chin is such a concern that even though Donte Johnson, I don't think, he's so green, I don't think he's necessarily quite ready for the UFC yet. He should be able to get to Darion Abbey's chin, so say Donte Johnson, Manuel Sousa, Yakhyaev are probably the most confident. Then I think Barbosa likely comes in here and starts as Damon Wilson. I think he probably gets to the chin. I think he probably gets him out of there in the first round. So I guess I might say I'd be the least confident about Trent Miller versus Ryan Gandra. The pick's got to be Gandra. I think he likely could. Maybe he takes it to the ground. You know, maybe he submits him. Maybe he whips something up. I just don't see Trent Miller having the striking skills to be able to hang with Gandra, because Trent Miller and he doesn't have the ground game to hang there either. So he should be a step behind here in every aspect against Ryan Gandra, who's probably training to work on anything, any holes he can split here. I don't know. This one kind of rubs me the wrong way because I didn't really get a whole lot for this fight, the Trent Miller versus Ryan Gandra. So maybe that's why I'm the least confident in that one. But yeah, I just want to give you guys a little confidence rating, just to give you my thoughts on these, because I think it's probably a decent card for betting if you guys are looking to bet on this one. But anyway, that's besides the point. But that about does it for this one. Oh, I got one thing I wanted to point out here. This was pretty funny. And then we'll wrap up this video. Now, Ryan Gandra, in one of his recent fights, I forget who it was. I think it was the second most recent. It was hilarious. He gets the win. It was really early on, and one of his cornermen, they come and jump around him like your girlfriend greeting you out of the airport you haven't seen in a month. And one of them jumps on him in the back. It's pretty normal. This dude is strong as shit, because out of nowhere, a second cornerman comes and jumps on his back. This dude just got done with a professional MMA fight that he was going to war in. And what does he do? He's able to carry two full grown-ass men piggybacking on him, or whatever, hugging on him, wrapped around him. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. You can see the lady here is looking like, what the hell are these guys doing? I just thought this shit was hilarious. I had to point this out. I'm like, well, at least Gandra, he's a strong dude. You get done with a fight, you probably have an adrenaline dump, and you're able to carry two grown-ass men jumping on top of you. I just thought this was funny as hell, but... There we go. Anyway, guys, that does it for this week's Contender Series for Season 9, Week 3. I hope you guys got some value. If you have anything, any insights or anything you guys want to let me know about this too. I know I was researching a lot of these fights. The earlier ones I researched a lot more. Like I said, the Trent Miller one, Ryan Gandra one, I didn't do a ton on. Or I wasn't able to go through all their super older fights. I just did their most recent 3 or 4. So if there's anything I missed, anything you guys want me to know, let me know in the comment section, because there's always stuff with these regional guys that you can't always know just from looking at their tape. There's always stuff behind the scenes. So if I missed anything or anything you guys want to add, let me know. Drop it down in the comments. If you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. It means a ton for your boy. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's your boy Jake from Topside MMA, and I'll see you guys soon in the next one. So peace.